Yeah, the principal one I've worked with, because I worked with him a couple, two or three projects, was Augusto Soledad. And Augusto, who's Brazilian, a Brazilian dancer choreographer, he was involved in this huge piece that we did. Well, let me go back. The first thing is he was a real good friend at FIU, right? We were colleagues. I had never worked with him, and one day he shows up in my office and says, "Orlando, I want to commission you to write a piece for me at my company." And I said, "Okay, Augusto, but you know what I do?" I said, because he was using a lot of kind of Brazilian folkloric music for the most part. Not some of it very authentic folklore, some of it, more contemporary folklore, whatever. But it was Brazilian folklore, which was perfect. It was great. It was wonderful. It was very well done. It fit perfectly. And but Augusto, I don't do that. He said, no, no, that's why I want to commission you, because I want you to push my boundaries. I want to do something of yours that's written for this. So we created this piece called Dream in Amazonia, which was fantastic. He had a really great company. I say he may still have it, because at some point he went up to I think University of Florida, gave him a job. He was with us at FIU. Then we got rid of the dance program, and then he wound up, I think, at Nova Southeast for a while, working there. And then I think they gave him a big job up at UFF, the University of Florida. So he's up there. And I know he was coming down from time to time to still run the company. So I don't know if that's still the case or not. But anyway, so to get back to the story, we worked together. I mean, I would go over to his studio with his dancers, and he would show me that the way we began is he would show me some movement, I would take notes, and I would come back with some sounds. And then he would say, "Oh, that's perfect. Can you make it a little longer here, or a little shorter there, or whatever?" And because it was all electronic, it was very easy. It was all fixed media, computer music. So it was easy to work that way, and so then he would show me some more, and then I would take notes, and I would come back, and so forth. And so that worked really well. It wound up being almost an hour long piece. It was a huge piece. And so he did that several times with his company. I remember it was a big premiere at the Colony Theater. As a matter of fact, Jacek Kolasinski got involved too, because he projected a few images as part of the piece. So it was very striking. It was really kind of a cool piece. And then after that, and that was, when was that? That was back in 2009, 2010. And then I didn't work with him again for another 5, 6 years on any projects. And then we got this big Knight Foundation grant to do this piece at the Fana Forum. And that was Una Marea Creciente, a rising tide. And that's where my team, so the same guys, John and Jacek and Campbell McGrath, those three, now with Augusto, was the team. And Knight Foundation funded this thing. And what we did is we took over the Fana Forum. We took over, and we had stuff happening throughout this building. It was like how should I put it? It was like a performance installation. So you would arrive at the Fana Forum, and on the first floor there was a dancer in the fountain, and there was projections. I think John Stewart had the projections downstairs on the wall, which is kind of a slanted wall, and I had an electronic piece going at the same time. And then you would walk up the stairs to what basically is the first floor, which is that kind of circular proscenium kind of space. And there I had two singers and two instrumentalists, a cellist, a bass player, a male voice, and a female voice. And they were kind of catty corner, the four players. And the dancers were dancing in the middle. And Jacek had his video projections on the wall. It's a circular wall, so you were surrounded by projections that, in his case, dealt with water, images of water, different images of water. And then you would go upstairs to the huge second and top floor, that has a black box that was open, so that black box was wide open. And then it has the cupola side, which is this huge thing with the top cupola. It was this huge space. And there I'm trying to remember what I had. I had, I think, 4 instrumentalists and 4 singers. And they were in the middle of the space, and they would move slowly back and forth. And again, Augusto's dancers would come in and move around the space. Excuse me, in that space, I know John's had some of images that were projected from the ceiling down, some video that they were taken by a drone of the water over the bay. So you would see like, rays and, sharks and whatever. You could see them kind of in underwater from the drone. And so that was going on. So that was a great piece because, we got the grant and we had to wait almost 3 years before we could do the piece because the Faniform was being built. Excuse me, the Faniform was being built when we proposed this. So it wasn't ready. We knew the plans and we kind of knew as it was being built, but we had to create it like on the fly, so to speak. And then we had to find, once it was built, we had to find a time where we could be in there for 2 or 3 days because that space became very hot and right away they were using it for all kinds of things. But eventually we did, and in May of I want to say 2017, 2018, anyway, somewhere in there, we premiered this piece, and it was one show only, but there were 500 people there. So it was huge, huge crowd. And Augusto, the way he did was a 90-minute piece. So the way he did this was he had a dance all worked out for 30 minutes. The dancers knew exactly where to go. And then after that, it was like kind of a quasi-improvisation. So they kind of knew where they had to sort of be, but they could be here, they could be there. It was a wonderful experience and just a fantastic piece. And so Augusto is the choreographer, other than that with Ariel, that I really worked with. I worked with a few others in smaller pieces over the years. There was a fantastic choreographer at FIU for a while, Leslie Neal, and with her company we did some things way back, going back to like the late 80s and early 90s. But Augusto would be the one that I've mostly worked with late in more recent times.